In today's video, I would like to show you how I think algorithm and data structure should be studied to minimize frustration. I've tutored software engineer for 3 years at Miguel, so throughout the years I come up with a simple recipe. So here it is. There is basically a 5-step that I found crucial to always go through when studying DSA. So let's start with step 0. Understand the data structure or algorithm purpose. So here is an example. Linked lists on their own are pretty boring. So before going into the excruciating details of the implementation, try to keep in mind why this data structure is even relevant. Why should we bother write a linked list when an array is almost the same, right? So no need for something precise, but something like this should help understanding. So just bullet point. For instance, adding block of data is very easy with a linked list. You don't need to know in advance how much block of data you want to store in there, and it's the basis of other data structure variant. So having this this basic understanding in mind will help you understand why this basic data structure is even relevant while you're looking at the details. So the next step, once you understand the DSA purpose, is to understand the implementation complexity. Here I do not mean the big O notation. What I mean is how complex implementing such algorithm or data structure look like in literal code. So to find this out, the best thing to do is just go look at an implementation already coded and validated by a large community. So Geeks for Geeks is always not too bad, and CodeChef is great. So it's a great way to start to check those implementation, which they usually are clearly written. So the goal here is to scope the difficulty of the DSA. So sometimes an algorithm might look scary if you look at the theory, but after inspection of the code, you actually see it's like 15 lines of code. So there isn't much to worry about. But first, reassure yourself and scope the complexity in your head. So next thing is to break down the DSA into its smallest subcomponent of interest. So here an example. Let's say we have a stack. For example, you have 2 main elements and 2 main action on the stack. There are others if you want to get fancy, but like those are the 4 main things. So we have a node which contains information. We have the stack per se, which holds node together, a bit like a linked list. We have the push action, which take the node outside the stack and put them in on the top, so inside the stack. Finally, there is the pop action, which take the element on the top of the stack and remove it. So just having this understanding is already good. So that's it. You already know now that you only have 4 things to really learn in order to understand this DSA. So by breaking it down, it will help you scope the thing properly. So the next step is to get your hands dirty and code it. So you really try your best to code it for real. Take your programming language of choice, even if your class or whatever is not, let's say your class in C++ and you're better at Python, just take Python and just try your implementation and test it. If you are stuck, you don't hesitate to just look back at an implementation that is already done. You don't have to guess for this kind of thing. You can just like look at it, have some idea of how the person is doing it, and then try to do it yourself and just reiterate. By doing this, by already seeing something that it's already done, you will learn faster. It's not useful to just try to guess and just to spend like hours and hours just hitting blocks. So the next step is the crucial one, is to practice again and again and again. So as soon as you're done with implementing it, whatever DSA you're doing, try again without looking at your code. Then go into these 2 sites, so Geeks for Geeks and CodeChef, and try to implement other variant of the algorithm to really make sure you understand the material. So here the practice is key, especially if you study for an exam. Not only do you want to you need to understand how to implement the stuff, you also need to do it fast enough so that you maximize your impact. Same thing if you're studying for an interview. So like doing it once or understanding it is not enough. You need to really practice to hone the skill. And the last step, I said there were 5, but I put an extra one. That's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. Don't get distracted by trying to read dry theory again and again and again, or to watch highly some lectures. You have to see code and do code to get better at this. So once you know how to implement this stuff, the theory will become second nature and will be easier to read. But you need to actually act on the material and try to do it. And this is the most difficult part. As soon as you've done it once, even if you have just a vague idea about the thing, you're just gonna need to read the theory and you're gonna be good. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have comments, tips, question, don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. And like always, have a great week.